Good morning, everybody. This is Average Discussion. Thank you for joining me in Studio Silverado here today. This is a morning update. I'll do the podcast, but I'm doing them in the afternoon, and it's not getting enough traction. So I'm gonna do one this morning and just kind of see if that works a little bit better. Maybe you guys like that better, and if so, I guess I'll have to dig deep and suck it up. I apologize for the sound of my voice. I'm a little congested. Nothing crazy, but I'm doing all right. So it is February 6th, 2024. It's about 39 degrees out here in the outskirts of the Salt Lake City metropolitan area. I live about 30-40 miles to the west of there. So not a bad day. A little cloudy still. Got a little bit of moisture. Ground's a little wet, but nothing crazy. So again, this is just a quick little morning update. I don't want to get too crazy. I don't want to keep you guys. Again, this is more just to see if I can get any feedback, actually. Right now, I'm relying on a lot of data that I don't really have. But I'm relying on data to kind of see if I'm doing a good job because I don't really have people interacting. So I encourage you to interact. In fact, I look forward to it. And I know everybody's busy, and I know everybody's got a lot of things going on. But if you could take time to tell me what you like about it, what you don't like about it, so I can improve the process, I greatly appreciate that. But anyway, so right up and at it. If you found this on Instagram, the song should have gave it away, but Toby Keith apparently died yesterday. If you're not familiar with who that is, then you were probably not around during the 9/11 war era, because he was everywhere. But country singer, started out in the 90s, probably a little bit before that. I'm not really entirely sure. Had a lot of big hits in the country music genre, but he really started making his big push with the 9/11. I don't want to call them war anthems because they weren't really war anthems, but they were pro-American anthems. Let's put it that way. Not bad songs, kind of funny and comical. He made a lot of good music, but he died last night at the age of 62 after a battle with cancer. So yeah, rest in peace to him, his family. I hope that they're doing okay, all things considered. I mean, how great could you really be doing? But yeah, so if you didn't know, now you know. Hopefully we don't get into another war, because I don't know who's gonna broadcast us through that. So hey guys, I'm also gonna be taking drinks of my coffee here, because yeah, I'm not fully there yet, so I left the house about 6:15 ish, maybe something like that. I don't even remember. About an hour ago from when I'm recording this, actually. Came and got my coffee. I got the spot I get my coffee from, and I've been sitting in the parking lot trying to just read through the news, and I get really wrapped up in the political stuff, so I really do my best to stay away from that. But that shit's everywhere right now. It's that time of the season, I guess. But this is somewhat political, but I think it's also a good story. So the Washington Commanders, the NFL football team, formerly known as the Washington Redskins, that was until the I'm Offended by Everything group attacked them and gave them so much pressure that they were forced to change their name and their logo, right? So the Native American Guardians Association, NAGA, I didn't come up with this shit, all right? The jokes write themselves. NAGA, the Native American Guardians Association, which is apparently a newer group because they already have the National Congress of American Indians, the NCAI, and that one's apparently like their big organization. I really don't know much about it. I kind of got a rough draft version of it, right? But anyways, NAGA is suing the Commanders for the removal of the chief who was their logo, Chief John Two Guns Whitecalf. I believe I said that right. So if it's wrong, then the article is wrong. Don't hate me, hate them. But anyways, it was removed after overwhelming pressure, when they were like, oh, it's detrimental to Native Americans in this group, you calling them Redskins, that's racist, this and that, right? And I get it I always kind of got it to a degree, right? Like I could look at it, I could be like, yeah, damn, I could kind of see that. But kind of growing up in Utah, there's so many things around here that are named after like the Ute tribe, especially, but Native Americans in particular, right? And I guess my perspective on it was a little bit jaded, and I never really stopped to think about how that might look to other people, because around here it again, I feel like it's a very common thing, and I always felt like it was a paying homage type thing. You know what I mean? But I totally could see how there's situations where it necessarily wasn't. You know what I mean? Even if it looked like it might have been. I get that, right? So I was like, okay, I kind of understand it. And then, excuse me. And then in the case of the Commanders, like, you knew it was coming. You know, they were doing it to small time schools, so you knew it was going to happen in the NFL, right? And so, anyways, inevitably it does. They change it to the Commanders, and somehow are an even worse team than when they were the Redskins. I'm just like, it's crazy. But no, so like I always understood that, but I always looked at it a little differently, right? So I've kind of been hesitant to kind of jump full-fledged on any side of this, right? Because, like I said, around here, I really feel like it was a paying homage type thing. But I totally get how that may not be the same perspective you get somewhere else, right? But either way, so NAGA, I'm going to say this all day long because my voice is also congested, so you probably can't tell that it's an A anyways. Can't wait. I'm going to start so many problems. Anyways, NAGA is suing the Washington Commanders for the removal of this logo. And they were citing things like, you know, that was using him as the logo was giving him honor. It was our representation on a major level, and now that's gone or whatever. The only issue I have with it is I don't understand why they're suing the football team, because it was the National Congress of American Indians, NCAI, that gave the overwhelming pressure for them to change the logo and the name and all that, right? Which is ironic because it's also the same group that championed the chief for the logo back in the 1970s. But now, obviously, like, that just shows you like how quickly things can change, right? An institution that you believe is in line with your thing, you know, and then, or with your thoughts or process, then 40, 50 years later, it's completely different, right? So back in the 70s, they championed for this chief to be the logo, but now, then they, you know, to be part of the, I guess you could call it woke movement, that I'm offended by everything fucking people, right? They wanted it removed. Well, now a separate group of Native Americans want it back. And so that, like, this is the best illustration, I think, of what is happening to us as we grow and develop, right? Because we literally have the same problems in everything that we do. There's a small group of people that have the largest voice, that want something done, but then there's this whole separate group of people that feels ousted now. And then we go back and forth. We talk about, that's why fucking the presidential races are always the same talking points. Like, I'm not even sure they use a different script for their mediators. Like, it's always the same fucking questions, always the same fucking problems. What are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about that? Economy, education. How do you feel about gay marriage? Blah, 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 right? It's always the same thing. And I think this is why, because we just keep going back and forth because we knee-jerk reaction. I've said this before. Our knee-jerk reactions are insane, right? We knee-jerk reaction all these things, and we change all this stuff, but then we don't even take into account and consider how other people feel about things. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just the I'm offended people that do that. I'm a constitutionalist people do the same thing, right? We always attack what we believe fundamentally at our cores, but we never think to consider the input of other people. Even though some of those people may be sitting at the same dinner table as you. You know what I mean? We never think to consider that. And it's a strange world. Like, where do we all get off thinking that... I say a lot of outlandish things. I really do. But I tell you, one, I'm not making any decisions that are affecting anybody's life. But two, well, outside of my kids, but, you know, that's a different story, I guess. But, you know, so I'm not making any decisions that affect anybody's life. But I also feel very confident that if you come to me in a way that's going to produce a good system of education, right? Not a system of education, a dialogue of education, I'm going to listen to you. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to convince me of your ways. And you're probably going to convince me on some things, maybe not all, right? Because I'm a human being too. I'm very hard-headed in my own ways. But I feel pretty confident that I'm open to that dialogue, right? And I don't think that the people making all the fucking decisions are like that. Because they can't be. Because they've literally been elected based off of their their tenacity towards their own convictions, right? So how can they really change it? But anyways, so the Native American Guardians Association, NAGA, is suing the National Congress of American Indians, NCAI. I don't have a catchy phrase for that one. NCAI. So interesting how it's kind of come full circle. Not to sound horrible, but I'm kind of laughing about it. It's kind of funny to sit back and watch because, again, here you have this whole group of people that were so distraught by this, thinking that, and it felt like, to me, it felt like it came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Because I don't know a whole lot of Native American people, but I've had the luxury of getting to know a few in my lifetime, and I've never heard them complain about the Chiefs, complain about the Redskins, complain about the Utah Utes. I've just never heard those things, and maybe it's because the conversations never led to things like that, right? But I feel like if it was that bad, if they really felt that hurt by these things, if they felt like these were that detrimental to who they are as a people, I think that regardless of conversation, it would have came up a lot more. And again, like I can't sit here and tell you that I've had the luxury of speaking to, a large number of Native Americans, because I honestly haven't. But the handful that I have, again, we've never talked about these things. Actually, until it became a thing, I don't think we ever talked about it. Like, I still need to reach out to that friend of mine, man. I kind of left him hanging. I feel kind of bad about it. Because we were going to talk about something similar to this. And I was going to do this whole, video call and all that good stuff. But I still need to do that. You know what? I need to do that actually before the Super Bowl. So Avon, if you're listening, man, I'm reaching out to you. We're gonna do this. It's got to happen. Because I left you hanging, and that's on me. But anyways, I'm laughing at this because it's funny watching, because again, I felt like it came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden it was this big deal, and they were attacking all these high schools and small time colleges and stuff, getting them to change their stuff. And again, all those things I thought were paying homage to these tribes, these individuals, these groups, right? Because that's really all we can do. We can't take back what happened, so the least we can do is show you some respect, right? And that's what I felt it was. And then I also had that moment where, oh shit, maybe I was ignorantly wrong about this, and I was kind of looking back at it. But now here we are. They're literally fighting with their own groups to bring it back. So I think it's a bigger show of what's actually really going on. So be on the lookout for the NAGA lawsuit. I'm telling you, I'm going to say that shit all day. All right, moving on. So the Lords Committee in the UK, which, by the way, just based off of the name Lords Committee, I don't want to hear a fucking thing you got to say. I ain't listening to shit. You ain't the Lord of nothing. That's the American side of me, I'd imagine. Like, it just sounds like that's a detrimental name. You know what I mean? That's what's the word? Detrimental is not the word I'm looking for. That racist isn't the word I'm looking for either, but I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. It's early, okay? I'm congested. I got my coffee. It's chaos around here. Ooh, it's brutal out here. Oh, I gotta tell you that story another time. But that song was stuck in my head at my daughter's basketball game, and I couldn't remember. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. Weird. But again, the Lords Committee, not something I give two shits what they have to say. And this is kind of why I wouldn't give a shit what they have to say. So they want the government to do something about the anti-EV articles that they say are spreading misinformation. So that word's back around again. I don't think it ever really left, but it's trending again, apparently, in my world, in my simulation. This word is coming around. Similar to atmospheric river that I never fucking heard before, and snow squalls that came out a couple years ago in season 2021, I think it was. Yeah, never heard that shit. Not once in my life. We're just coming up with fucking names, man. And I swear, like, I looked these up and I'm like, when did this fucking phrase come around? Like yesterday I looked up the atmospheric river. Apparently it was coined in the 1990s. I'd never heard that. I've been alive since 87. I've never heard that. Not once in my life. Now, granted, I probably wouldn't remember hearing it in the 90s. I was pretty young, till towards about the end of it. But even in the early 2000s, 2010s, I've been to other continents. I've never heard atmospheric river. I'm sorry. You cannot convince me that this was a normal term. It's really blowing my mind right now. I thought this was a new thing and that the planet was changing, and that I was going to be vindicated on my thoughts that global warming and climate change is kind of just a cycle that we're probably not helping, but it's something the Earth's going to do anyways. But anyways, back to the Lords Committee in the UK. They want the government to do something about the anti-EV articles, things like people saying that they catch fire, or that you have to charge them all the time with gasoline generators and stuff like that, right? Like those here's the reasons why you shouldn't buy an electric car ads, right? But basically, in the gist of what I was able to read through on the article, I did read it very quickly, and again, it is early and I don't have my coffee all the way in me. Basically, they're not selling fast enough, which, wow, that's a common thing from Paris, which is across the river for them, right? Or the channel. Sorry, channel. You guys call them channels. I'm just kidding. But Paris said the same thing. Oh, we're not selling enough of them fast enough, so we're going to find everything, including electric cars. But that's a whole nother issue. If you haven't heard that episode, go back, check it out. It's the one from yesterday. But so again, here we have an established group of people, an established government, complaining that electric cars aren't selling fast enough. They also want more funding for charging stations and infrastructure to support electric automobiles. Which is ironic to me because that's generally the most common argument against electric cars is the infrastructure. Like I'm sitting in a parking lot right now in a town that has anywhere from 14 to 16,000 people. I'm not sure entirely how many. I do know there's some Teslas out here, and there's not a whole lot of them. We still do a lot more rural things out here. So most people have trucks. Like I'm in a truck, all-wheel drive cars because the weather can get bad, right? And then they just have normal sedans and SUVs and all that stuff. But it's also not a high wealth area. So that probably attributes to it. But I've been sitting in this parking lot for an hour. There's no electric charging stations here. I don't think there's any of them in any of the gas stations here. I'll have to double check that, but I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any at the grocery store, the one grocery store that we have out here. So yeah, like I totally get that. And that's usually, from what I understand, the biggest argument. Now, the thing that's weird to me is that this is happening in like the UK, right? You would think, me personally, I would think that they would have a whole lot more of them. They just hit the 1 million registered electric vehicles mark. And I don't know. I didn't crunch the numbers on how many cars drive in their area, but like, okay, cool. Like that's awesome. I would think it would be more beneficial there because I remember I was looking it up one time, and basically what I determined is that I could drive from one end, I think the north to south route, if I recall correctly, from the north to the south end of the UK, Great Britain, England, whatever, right? On a single tank of fuel in my F-350, miles-wise. Now, obviously I probably had to fill up because it wouldn't make it, traffic, stop and go, all that stuff, right? But in theory, distance-wise, I should be able to drive from the north end to the south end on a single tank of fuel out of my other truck, right? And that's crazy to me to think about. That's absolutely crazy to me. And I can tell you right now that if I lived, it would probably benefit me even now, but it's a lot harder to justify because roughly 100 miles a day just for commuting, right? And that's just commuting. That doesn't assume that I do anything like running errands, that I don't have anything I got to get to, or a basketball or football game to get to that's 3 hours away. That's my biggest hesitation with this. And I would think in an area that's that condensed in terms of what we're used to in a lot of our our states, at least out west, it's not uncommon to commute 100 miles a day. It's just not. From what I understand, that's kind of uncommon for them. Now I'm not talking one way, that's two ways, okay? So like I don't feel like 50 miles there, 50 miles back. I don't feel like that's too strange for a lot of people. But from what I understand, that's pretty uncommon there, right? So I would assume that they're not looking for the 350-mile range cars. They're fine taking the base model, cheaper versions that only go 175 or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to me that they're having that issue. But again, the biggest problem to me is the Lord's Committee. I'm not listening to a fucking thing you guys say. We're fighting, bro. We're fighting. You cannot come in and be like, I am from the Committee of Lords, and not expect me to be like, go fuck yourself. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna happen. You need to change the name to something a little less demoralizing for the non-wealthy people. All right, you gotta. I get it. You're holding on to culture, and I should probably be cool with that because my last name is literally in the dictionary. So, it's not that. What does that have to do with anything, Chris? Actually, now that I think about it, it really has nothing except for it's an Oxford dictionary. So I don't even know if that's important. But what I'm trying to make is my heritage is very. UK British, okay? At least to the best of my knowledge. For all I know, it's fucking wrong. I don't know. But I'm not down with a group of people determining my future called the Lord's Committee. I've seen enough medieval movies to know that there's one good lord and the rest of them are all just raping and pillaging. So, no, change the damn name to something a little bit less demoralizing. But anyways, I said that this is going to be a quick update, and here I am talking for, let's see, I got to open it back up. 22 minutes. Okay, so it hasn't been too bad, thankfully. I was kind of worried there. I thought maybe it'd been an hour, and I really should go to work, but this is about the time I usually leave anyways. So my wife, if anything, is probably the only one a little curious because I haven't sent my I made it message, and I left when it was still dark. But I am just sitting in a parking lot, staring at the western sky that I can't see because of the clouds. But yeah, no Lord's Committee for me. Sorry, guys. You and NAGA can deal with that one later. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, hey, check it out. I really appreciate you guys. Again, if you could give me some feedback. Does the morning time work out better? Are you more likely to listen and check it out? Or do you prefer the afternoon? The evening time I could probably do, but it'd have to be way late. So I guess if you want to go to sleep to the sound of my voice caressing you as you ease into a slumber, then I guess I could do one. But just let me know, would you? I really would greatly appreciate it. And also let me know which platform you're listening to it on. I'm not sure that I'm getting accurate data. So as always, guys, you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/average discussion. That is the Facebook page. Probably going to get the most amount of content there. Instagram, average discussion. Excuse me. Twitter @AVG discussion. I post everything on there. I just wouldn't say that it's very interactive. And I keep saying Twitter like it hasn't been bought out for fucking 10 years already. X, formerly known as Twitter. I should have done more X's. Now it sounds creepy. Anyways, X @AVG discussion. You can find me over there. I would say TikTok, but I really don't do anything on there except for look for funny videos to send to all my friends. So I'm not utilizing it for the same reasons that most people do. And YouTube, please head over to the YouTube channel. I don't have the best area to record videos yet, so right now I'm just kind of doing a backdrop because YouTube's sometimes easier for people. Like you can pull it up at work or whatever and just play it on a computer, or whatever you do. Play it in the background at your house or whatever. So sometimes YouTube's just easier for people. I am learning some new stuff about that I didn't know I could do. So I might just go over to that here in the near future, but we'll see what happens with that. But anyways, YouTube, Average Discussion is the channel. Please head over there. Give that a like, a subscribe, and a follow, please, so that I can start doing the live video stuff. I think that would be a lot better for us. But yeah, so if you could just reach out to me, let me know, where you're listening to it on, what you like about it, don't like about it. Please, I'm open to it. I'm trying to improve the process. I'm trying to make it better. So, and if this morning time is better for you rather than the afternoon time. yeah, I could Google this stuff and I could read all these articles from people who have already done this, but I don't fucking want to hear from them. I want to hear from people who are actually listening to me. So that's what I'm asking for. Hey, as always, guys, I hope you, actually, it's a little bit different because I'm doing it in the morning. I hope you have a great day. And I hope that you were able to achieve all the things that you want to achieve. So please take care of yourself, take care of each other, and until next time,